Ethan Hale had always been the kind of man the world watched from a distance. Billionaire. Tech visionary. Single father of 2. A man whose name appeared on business magazines every month but who, in private, barely slept through the night. His late wife, Clara, had been the only person who ever made his empire feel meaningful, and after losing her, the sparkling glass walls of his mansion only echoed emptiness. But what troubled him more than his loneliness was something else. His children, Noah and Lily, had stopped smiling. They didn't laugh the way they used to. They didn't run to him when he entered a room. They didn't even argue or misbehave like normal kids. Just quiet. Careful. Almost fearful. And there was only one new element in their lives, Vanessa. Everyone praised Vanessa Parker, the stunning, elegant woman Ethan had recently gotten engaged to. She was from a powerful political family, beautifully groomed, always dressed like she was walking a runway. In public, she was polite. In private, Ethan wasn't sure anymore. Servants whispered that she scolded the kids too harshly. The children stiffened around her. Lily hid behind furniture when she entered a room. Noah avoided eye contact with everyone. But any time Ethan asked them directly, they insisted everything was fine. Because Vanessa had told them. Little children who lie go to horrible boarding schools. Ethan knew something was wrong, but he didn't know what. And in a mansion full of staff, everyone was too afraid of Vanessa to speak the truth. Except one. Amira. The new maid. Quiet. Gentle. Barely 24. Recently hired, and for some reason, his children trusted her more than anyone else. But even she never said anything specific. She simply hovered protectively around Noah and Lily like a silent guardian. Ethan needed the truth. And he realized that as long as he remained Mr. Hale, the billionaire, no one would tell him anything. The staff admired him, feared him, worshipped him, but they didn't confide in him. So he did something no one expected. For 2 weeks, Ethan Hale disappeared from the mansion. And the new gardener, Daniel, arrived. Unshaven, wearing old boots, a cap covering his hair, and clothes that smelled faintly of soil. Only the head butler knew the truth. Ethan didn't want cameras. Didn't want assistants. Didn't want his identity leaking. He needed to disappear into the background. If he wanted truth, he had to earn it in the shadows. The first morning he arrived, he saw her, Amira, kneeling in the garden, helping Lily tie the ribbon on her tiny yellow dress. Her voice was soft, the kind of gentle tone that could soothe a storm. "Is this bow okay, princess?" she asked. Lily, who hadn't smiled in weeks, nodded excitedly. "You make the prettiest bows, Amira." Ethan froze. His heart tightened. His daughter hadn't spoken like that in months. He stepped closer, pretending to trim the hedge. Amira didn't notice him at first, she was too focused on Lily. When she finally glanced up, her eyes widened a little. Not because she recognized him, his disguise was perfect, but because strangers made her nervous. "Good morning," Ethan said, deepening his voice slightly. She nodded shyly. "Good morning, Daniel." He gave a small smile. "You're very good with children." Amira looked down, almost embarrassed. "They're good kids. They just need kindness." Her voice cracked on the last word. Ethan felt something twist inside him, but he couldn't break the undercover role. For the rest of the day, he worked silently, observing everything. The children only relaxed around Amira. Noah laughed when she helped him feed the fish. Lily followed her like a shadow. When Vanessa arrived, the entire atmosphere changed. Vanessa's heels clicked sharply on the marble steps. Her lips were tight, her expression colder than the morning frost. "Lily," she snapped. "You tied the ribbon wrong again. Why can't you behave like a lady?" Lily flinched. Ethan's hands tightened around the gardening shears. Every instinct screamed to step in. But Daniel, the gardener, wouldn't interfere. Daniel was invisible. Amira immediately stood in front of Lily. "I tied it," she said softly. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I must have done it wrong." Vanessa's eyes flashed. "You? Wrong? That's not surprising." Ethan felt heat rise up his spine. Vanessa raised her hand as if she might yank the ribbon back, but Noah stepped forward with unexpected courage. "Leave her alone," he said quietly. Vanessa's head whipped toward him. "Excuse me?" Noah swallowed hard. She didn't do anything." Amira quickly placed her hand on Noah's shoulder and whispered, "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm right here." Vanessa glared at the children. "Both of you, inside. Now." They obeyed instantly, out of fear, not respect. Vanessa strutted back inside, but not before throwing a disgusted look at Amira. And Amira trembled. Ethan saw her hands shaking. He walked closer, pretending to check the roses. "Are you all right?" Amira wiped her eyes quickly. "I'm fine. She's the employer. I shouldn't talk back." "You were brave," Ethan said softly. "Not many people would stand between a child and a storm." Amira looked at him in surprise, almost suspicious. Guards, cooks, drivers, everyone avoided getting involved. But this gardener, this nobody, was encouraging her? "Children see everything," she whispered. "Even when adults don't." Something about her tone made Ethan pause. "What do they see?" he asked quietly. Her lips opened slightly, almost as if she was about to confess something. But then the mansion door slammed sharply, and she immediately straightened, fear flashing across her face. I should get back to work," she muttered. She hurried away. Ethan watched her go, feeling a deep, unsettling certainty. Amira knew something. Something big. Something painful. He watched the window where Vanessa disappeared and whispered to himself, "What have you been doing when I wasn't looking?" That night, Ethan slept in the small gardener's quarters, far from his luxurious suite. The bed was stiff, the air smelled of fertilizer, and the shower barely worked. But he didn't complain. He wanted this. He needed to see real life without the varnish of wealth. Around midnight, he heard soft footsteps outside his window. He peeked out. It was Amira. She walked toward the children's wing with a glass of warm milk in her hand. She paused, looked both ways nervously, and gently opened Noah and Lily's door. Curiosity burned inside Ethan. Why was she going there at this hour? He quietly followed the shadows until he reached their door. It was slightly open. Inside, Amira sat on the edge of Noah's bed. Lily had crawled beside her brother, hugging him tightly. Noah was crying. Not loud, just soft, exhausted tears. Amira stroked his hair. "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm here." Noah whispered, voice breaking, "Miss Vanessa said Daddy will send us away if we tell him." Lily sobbed. "She scares me. She hurts my arms sometimes." Ethan's heart stopped. His vision blurred with rage. But before he could push the door open, Amira said something so soft, so powerful, his breath caught. "Your daddy loves you more than anything," she murmured. "And he would never, ever, send you away for telling the truth." Noah shook his head. "But she said he would." Amira cupped his face gently. "She lies. All the time. But I promise you, one day, someone will make her stop." Ethan felt a shiver run through him. Someone. He stepped back silently, fists clenched. Tomorrow, he promised himself. Tomorrow he would make her stop. The next morning arrived heavy with a strange stillness. Ethan woke before sunrise, but the anger from last night still throbbed in his chest. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Noah quietly wiping his tears. Lily whispering that Vanessa twisted her arm, and Amira sitting beside them like a quiet shield in the darkness. He wasn't just undercover anymore. He was a father on the edge. But he couldn't reveal himself yet. Not until he had enough proof, until he understood exactly how far Vanessa's cruelty reached. So, Daniel, the gardener, walked back into the mansion grounds, pushing a wheelbarrow and pretending his heart wasn't burning. Amira was already in the garden, trimming roses. She looked tired, much more than a young woman her age should. Her eyes were swollen, as if she had cried herself to sleep. When she saw him, she froze for a moment. She seemed embarrassed, as if last night's conversation with the children had been a crime she could be punished for. "Good morning," he said softly. She nodded. "Good morning, Daniel." Her hands trembled around the scissors. "Rough night?" he asked gently. Amira hesitated, then whispered, "The children had nightmares again." Nightmares. The word punched him in the stomach. "What about?" he tried to ask casually, though his voice cracked. She shook her head quickly. I shouldn't say. I just made them warm milk and stayed with them until they fell asleep." Ethan watched her carefully. She was too protective, too cautious. She knew too much. She feared too much. And she cared too deeply. Before he could ask more, the sound of sharp heels cut through the air like knives. "Vanessa." Ethan stood straighter, eyes narrowing as she walked out toward them with her usual cold grace. Today, she wore sunglasses, a tight dress, and a smile that never reached her eyes. "What are you doing?" she snapped at Amira. I'm trimming the bushes, ma'am." "Then trim them straight." "God, do I have to teach you everything?" Ethan clenched his jaw, fingers curling into fists, but he forced himself to stay in character. Vanessa turned toward him. "You're the gardener, right?" "Yes, ma'am," he replied, lowering his voice. "Then act like one. Those hydrangeas are uneven." "They were uneven when I came." "Are you arguing with me?" she hissed. Ethan lowered his gaze. "No, ma'am." "Good." She walked past him toward the house, but before disappearing, she added sharply to Amira, "And keep the brats out of my way today. I'm hosting guests. I don't want them embarrassing me." The moment she left, Amira sagged slightly, her breath shaky. Ethan stepped closer. "You don't deserve that," he said softly. Her eyes welled up, but she blinked the tears away. "It doesn't matter. It's the children I worry about." His heart tightened. "Tell me, Amira, what exactly is happening when I'm not around?" Amira's lips parted, fear filling her eyes. She shook her head quickly. I can't. If she finds out I said anything." "She won't," he said firmly. "I promise you." But she just looked away. Some promises break easily. The day passed with an uneasy tension. Vanessa's friends arrived, wealthy women with loud laughter and sharper tongues. The house buzzed with fake compliments, clinking glasses, and bright chatter. But underneath all of it was something darker. Vanessa kept sending Noah and Lily upstairs. Out of sight. Like they were stains she didn't want to display. At one point, Ethan saw Noah sneaking down the stairs with a drawing he had made. His eyes were bright, he wanted to show Vanessa. He approached her quietly and tugged her arm. "Miss Vanessa. I drew you something." Vanessa barely looked. "Not now." "But." She snatched the paper from his hand, glanced at it, and scoffed. "This? You're 7 years old and still drawing like a toddler?" Noah's face fell. Vanessa turned to her guests, laughing. "See what I mean? They're hopeless. The women laughed. Something inside Ethan snapped. His vision went dark for half a second. He started walking toward her, rage burning through every cell of his body. But before he reached them, someone else moved first. Amira. She hurried down the stairs, grabbed Noah's shoulders gently, and pulled him behind her as if shielding him. Her voice was calm but firm. "Ma'am, the children should go rest. They're tired." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "I wasn't talking to you." "I know," Amira said softly, "but you were hurting him." A deadly silence spread across the room. Vanessa's face twisted. "How dare you speak to me like that?" Noah clung to Amira's dress, shaking. Lily peeked from behind the banister, terrified. One of Vanessa's friends whispered, "Is that how you treat your fiancé's children?" It was a small comment, but it cracked Vanessa's composure. Her voice rose. "You stupid girl. You think you matter here? You're a maid. A nobody. And if you ever interfere again..." Ethan stepped forward. "Enough." The entire room turned toward him. Vanessa narrowed her eyes. "Excuse me?" Ethan pulled off his gardener's cap. Then wiped the dirt from his face. Then stood tall, towering, powerful, unmistakable. "No," Vanessa breathed. "You." "Yes," Ethan said, voice filled with steel. "It's me." Gasps erupted. Amira froze, eyes widening in shock. The children ran to him instantly, Noah grabbing his arm, Lily clinging to his leg. Vanessa's face drained of color. "Why you were undercover?" "Watching," Ethan said coldly. "Listening." "And waiting." "For what?" she whispered. "For the truth," he replied. He turned toward the guests. "Everyone, thank you for coming. But the event is over." The room emptied quickly, no one wanted to stay after witnessing such a confrontation. When the last person left, Ethan faced Vanessa alone. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" he asked quietly. Vanessa's voice trembled. "I didn't do anything." "No," he said sharply. "You manipulated my children. Threatened them. Hurt them. Lied to them. And you created a home where they were afraid to speak." She stepped back. "It's not what you think." "Amira," Ethan said, turning toward the maid. "Tell me. What did she do?" Amira froze. Vanessa lunged. "Don't you dare." But Ethan's voice thundered across the room. "Touch her, and I swear." Vanessa stopped mid-step, shaking. Amira looked at the children. Then at Ethan. Then at Vanessa. And something inside her broke. She grabbed Lily by the arm whenever she cried, Amira whispered. She yelled at Noah for tiny mistakes. She told them you would send them away if they said anything. And she slapped Noah last week. Ethan's breath stopped. The world blurred. "You did what?" he growled. Vanessa panicked. "She's lying. That girl is obsessed with your kids." "No," Ethan said quietly. "They trust her more than they trust you. And now. I know why." He took a step forward. "This engagement is over." "No." Vanessa screamed. "You need me. You can't raise 2 kids alone." Ethan's voice cut like ice. "I already have someone who's better for them than you ever were." Vanessa's eyes widened. "Who?" He looked at Amira. The maid froze, breath catching. But Ethan's words were not romantic, they were raw truth. Someone who loves them. Someone who protects them. Someone who sees them as children, not props. Vanessa's face tightened with rage and humiliation. "You'll regret this," she shouted as security escorted her out. Ethan finally knelt down, pulling Noah and Lily into the tightest hug of their lives. I'm sorry, he whispered, voice breaking. Daddy is so sorry. The children cried into his chest, trembling with relief. Amira stepped back quietly, wanting to give them space. But Ethan stood up and turned to her. You saved my children, he said softly. And I will never forget that. Amira's eyes filled with tears. I only did what any human should. Ethan shook his head. No. You did what only a kind heart would. For the first time in months, his home felt safe. Because of her. Because someone, when he wasn't looking, protected the two souls he loved most. And that changed everything.